when we say a word, that's just a noise exiting our body. If you're going to say noises anyways, right? We're going to say noises all day long. Why would you not put those in the most sequential order to make you the most money to help the most people? 100%. Those words can either make you multi-millionaire or they can make you broke. You make noises out of your body all day long, and because of that, you are compensated at a very caveman level.
Yes, that may be the most rudimentary way I've ever heard that be described, but you're absolutely correct.
Welcome to another episode of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. Today's going to be a good one. I've got a great guest on, a guy, he and I have become very good friends, probably best friends in the last couple of months. Tony Varga, I can't say enough about him except for the fact that there's not many people that I would say are as good or equal to or better than me at skill of communicating, closing, and Tony is definitely one of them. Mainly, I think, because he cares. I think there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of people out there that can close and sell and make money, and there's other people that do it because they care. And Tony is one of them. And I wanted him to not only have him on the podcast. Tony does work with me, alongside me, with the team, but he's going to be a speaker at Mach 5. And so I just wanted to introduce him to people so they kind of know who he is. And we can kind of go down that rabbit hole. So first of all, Tony, thanks for taking time and being on the show, brother.
Thank you, Steve. And what an intro, man. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. So real quick, Reader's Digest version, if you even remember, if you were old enough to know what that is, but the abbreviated version of who you are, what you do, and then we can get into some nuances about yourself.
Very cool, man. Yeah, you're carbon dating me here.
I
know. Quick story about myself. So I am originally of German descent. My entire family is from Bavaria, which here I'll kind of pan up. There you got the flag. Nice. Bavaria, Germany, southern region of Germany, in Munich. Always kind of had a dream of coming out to the States, cheesy American dream kind of stuff. So started learning English at a very young age out there, and then came out here for high school, then got into college in Southern California. Always was knowing I was going to go into something that was related to people, communications. I wanted to be on the face-to-face side of business. There's a real opportunity in this country, greater than any other, where if you have the right network and the right connections and you can pour into people in the right way from a servant leadership perspective, and that's not just sales, the world is yours. And they're really and you of all people, Steve, would know that. Obviously, you've created so much opportunity for yourself through connections and through knowing the right people and leveraging your ability to pour into people and be a real servant leader. So that was always my driver from ever since I was a kid. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs in the hospitality and the real estate space. And so for me, that's probably what really kind of, gave me the idea that everything is possible and opened up my eyes to that. I was never limited by those beliefs. After I graduated college, I went right into sales in the corporate setting at first because it just felt natural to me. I kind of stumbled my way into it. I worked for a high-end luxury country club company and a gym. And so there was kind of like this interesting thing that they have out in California and New York and places like big cities. And I worked for that company for about 3 years. I worked my way up within a sales rep of being the best at that local club it took me about 3 months. Then about 6 months in, I'd beaten every sales record in a $1 billion conglomerate. And that gave me the opportunity to go into management. I love doing sales management. I built out the most powerful sales team for that organization and their history, and just kind of kept on hitting ceilings. I had a lot of great mentors that I had met, obviously, through kind of where I was at. And they were letting me know, hey, you're hitting a lot of ceilings. You should probably be open to leaving the corporate kind of bureaucracies and limitations that lie within it. You're not someone who's built out for corporate, and I'm very happy to have had people that were close enough to me to tell me these things when I needed to hear them most. And it kind of proved itself. I saw the bad side of corporate and where kind of the ladder comes into play there and people being jealous and things like that. And it was just a lot of bureaucracy and things that I just didn't want to deal with that weren't helping me grow or helping the company grow, things that were getting in the way of being able to make the company the money that they could have. And so I just was like, cool, I'm going to take the advice that I'm getting and I'm going to put all this mental energy towards, helping people in a way that I have full control over. And that's exactly what I did. So I went into becoming a sales expert and a sales coach, as well as doing fractional management for companies such as yours for sales and acquisition channels. And I love every single second of it, man. I get to sit here and, talk into this microphone all day, every day. I don't have to do anything else but that. I get to communicate all day and pour into people and help them change their lives. And that is the shortest version of my story. So I'll shut up.
No, that's great. It's funny. I say this to people and I think you would understand it. And people that are salespeople or communicators it really strikes a tune is that words, when we say a word, that's just a noise exiting our body, right? If you said that word in German, you're just going to put different inflection on that to make that noise sound different so that it's relatable to people who know German.
Sure. Sound a little bit more aggressive, but yeah.
Yeah. But when you think about it, those words, the noises that come out of our body.
Yeah.
If you're going to say noises anyways, right? We're going to say noises all day long.
Uh-huh.
Why would you not put those in the most sequential order to make you the most money to help the most people? Because
100%.
Those words can either make you multi-millionaire or they can make you broke.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just noises. It's like when you really think about it, it's just you make noises out of your body all day long. And because of that, you are compensated. It's at a very caveman level. Well, I mean, do you agree? Is that?
Yes, that may be the most rudimentary way I've ever heard that be described, but you're absolutely correct. I love that, Steve.
What do you do for a living? I make noise.
I make noises out of my body and get paid for it. Yeah, maybe might want to add a couple more clarifications there, but it's not
at a rudimentary level. When someone says the super abbreviated, that would be your USP, your tagline.
Yes.
I make noises and get paid for it.
I'm stealing that. I'm putting that on a business card, Steve. I love it.
Nice. So listen, you work for a lot of companies and you work with me and my team for the coaching.
Yeah.
You do what's called high ticket sales. And I think people don't really understand that high ticket sales is just, and this is my opinion. You tell me if I'm wrong. And I know you're going to talk about this at the conference, but high ticket sales to me is you're just selling something. The high ticket word just means it's over a certain dollar amount.
Yeah.
And you're selling a product. Like a car is a high ticket sale.
100%.
Right?
A house is a high ticket. Yep.
Yeah. And so people think of this high pressure on the phone. And I think it's the complete opposite. I think it's, you're understanding more surgically, like a sniper, understanding what is someone's problem so that you can help them. Like a doctor doesn't say, hey, I'm just going to cut you open and we're going to figure out what's wrong. And you're going to be like, shouldn't you at least check me out and ask me where it hurts? No, we don't need to do that. We're just going to start cutting and we'll figure it out on our own.
Right.
And sadly, I think that's what salespeople do is they just start cutting. And they don't even know where the problem is of the client or prospect. Right. And I think what high ticket sales does, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that you're like surgically understanding what is their problem. And do you have a product that solves their problem?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you framing it that way. Yeah. So the high ticket sales space is an ever evolving one. And I think when a lot of people think high ticket sales, depending on what their experience is with it, they may think different things. You're right. Fundamentally, all high ticket is something that's been around since sales has been around. It just means expensive items, right? It means that the service or the product itself on a 1 unit basis is an expensive product or service. And that's really all it means. Now, the high ticket industry, what it means to me is particularly the online space, right? So these are online services, online products, whether it be digital or otherwise, but the entire sales process happens online, meaning through a Zoom call conversations or phone call conversations or communications through email, things like that. That's really what the high ticket sales industry is. And you're right. It kind of does get a little bit of bad rep. And like in most sales opportunities, I think car sales gets a bad rep too. They feel like they're high pressure. They feel like there's all these manipulation tactics. And I don't think I know a single good, actually high performing salesperson that thinks of themselves as a manipulator or says,
Oh,
hey, I've got manipulation tactics. Because if that's kind of the mindset you come at it at, even if you're the best at doing that, you're always going to be capped because you're coming from a place of self-serving rather than serving others. And selling is actually one of the most easy things you can do if you come from a place of serving others. I believe that to the absolute core of who I am. So, yeah, it's not about high pressure tactics. It's about living in the uncomfort and being comfortable in the uncomfort, even if you have to be that for the prospect, because you know what is the next best step for them. Of course, as long as you in your heart believe that as well. Right. So that's really where it all stems from, is coming from a place of like, okay, I understand your situation. I understand where you want to be. And my goal and my mission and my responsibility, most importantly now, is to give you the right pieces of information to be able and ask you the right questions to make sure that this is a rational decision for both parties, and to walk you into a place where you can see that gap as to where you need to be and where you are now, and filling that gap with exactly what we have to serve you to get there. Right. And the upfront service that comes there needs to always be reflected in the actual service that comes in the fulfillment, which is also why, yes, I do work with a lot of companies, and I've worked with a lot of companies. I've also can say, without naming names, that there's some companies that don't really actually take that last piece to heart. And I don't enjoy working for companies like that either, because even if the salespeople have all the right intentions, if there aren't the right intentions on the back end of the company, then that's going to hurt everything. And I think that may also partially be why sometimes this industry gets a bad rep, because at the very beginnings of it, there was a lot of people getting away with that. Not so much anymore. And now it's the offers and companies like yourselves, Steve, that now have survived that because they were the ones that were legitimate and actually helping people through that time. And so now we're in a period where it's really only those companies that are going to continue to be able to be out there and helping people. And that's what I always strive to look for when I partner with companies, is that they have their heart in the right place.
It's funny you mentioned the car dealership. I a lot of times when I'm talking about sales and communicating, and I ask people who is the epitome of someone you would never like want to emulate, and it's always cars. And they say, well, Steve, I don't want to be a used car salesman. And I come back and say, well, do you sell used cars? And they're like, no. And I'm like, then why would you be a used car salesman? I don't understand. And they're like, well, like they manipulate. I go, so have you ever bought a car? Yeah. And when you bought the car, did you need a car? Yes. So you needed something. They had the car. Did they go and call you and bring you into the dealership, or did you walk into the dealership because you needed a car? Well, I needed a car. I said, how long did you have that car for? 6 years. So for 6 years, you were manipulated because somebody tricked you in that 1 hour that you talked to them. So there's no justification, is my point. It is the stigma, and I get that.
Yeah.
But there is a stigma also of people who are helping people. For example, if I was, if you had a child and your child was hooked on drugs, I would be selling that child to get off drugs. So
Right.
selling does not always mean, in my opinion, it's not always a monetary remuneration. But when people cover their wallets when you talk about selling, that's a them problem.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have an aversion to money.
Yeah.
I've never once said money, right? If I could solve
Right.
your problem, if it was free, would you do it? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, so it's just a value, right?
Yeah. It's a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. You're absolutely right, Steve. I mean, whether it's buying a car or buying anything, sales is just decision making. So when you think about it, you're selling yourself 100 times a day, 1,000 times a day on little micro decisions that you're making all the time. And you're just going through the same, even though it's subconscious, you're going through the same justification models and rational thinking models in your mind every time you decide to do something. You're just selling it to yourself. It's just when somebody else is involved, and of course there's a stigma attached to it. You're right. People get protective over their wallets, which is fine. I think there's always a certain level of wanting to, be protective over things. But at the same time, if you're walking in somewhere and you're saying, I need this, I want this, and someone's just helping you get there, that's just called service, right? So yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
And the thing is, and you've heard me say this at my conferences, is in any conversation, someone is selling and someone is getting sold. Either you are selling your wife or your girlfriend on where you want to eat, or she is selling you where she wants to eat. Your kids cleaning their room. Whether your product is right for someone, you are selling them or they are selling you.
Right.
And I believe, and you tell me if I'm wrong, when someone is buying or not buying, there's two things that are happening, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious your perspective. Is number one, there's a trust factor, because if they don't trust you, they are not going to buy from you. And there's a lack of trust deficit out there because of the online space, and everybody's a guru and everyone's doing these things. That's number one. Number two is the imagery or visualization of that person, of who they are going to become, the new identity when they buy the product. So, for example, if I bought this shirt, I'm not buying the fabric and the threads. I'm buying the identity of who I'm going to look like when I'm wearing this shirt.
100%.
And I think that, and I want to tie this into the conference, right? We have a bunch of trade people, contractors.
Yeah.
I think what they need to understand is when they are selling their product, I think a large mistake that they make is they're selling the experience of the tools and the wood and all the details, when nobody cares. They care about, what is the family going to say on Thanksgiving weekend when they walk in and see your new kitchen, go, wow,
Mm-hmm.
you must be doing good. Like, that's amazing kitchen. They don't
Mm-hmm.
sell that vision. They
No.
sell, well, we got to rip out this wall. I got to pull permits. And
Right.
you're like, dude, they don't want to know that. If they wanted to know that, they would do it themselves.
100%. Yeah. Everyone's either moving towards a reality or moving away from a reality. And that's it. It's one of the two. And it's the reality that you're selling. It's the results that you're selling. It's the outcome that you're selling. Like you said, if it was the deliverables or the direction of getting there or the how, they just go do it themselves. They don't want it. It's most of the time, even if they tell you that that's what they want to hear, the real nitty gritty details isn't what they want to hear. The emotional side of their brain wants to hear, well, what's going to happen after all of this, right? What's the outcome of this?
Yeah, because, if that was the case, we'd be a commodity. And they would
Exactly.
look you up on Amazon. They would say, I want that package. I don't want to talk to anyone. Buy that package, deliver it to the house, and plug it in. But that's not us. That's not how, every decision we make is prefaced by an emotional reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
We make our decisions based on emotions, and then we will back it up with logic. And
Mm-hmm.
that emotion, I believe, is based on what in the identity of the person that is going to be on the other side of whatever transaction happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. So you're coming to Mach 5, you're going to talk. What are some of the things you're going to be talking about at the conference?
Well, I mean, I'm happy you asked that, Steve. I mean, and that's something I definitely want to make sure I curate to the audience as well.
You love that curate word, don't you?
I love that word, man. It's one of my favorite words. No, I always like to make sure that everything feels like it's, tactical and can be applied right away. Right. I like mindset. I think mindset is important. That's going to be something I'm going to touch on, but for the most part, I'm going to be very tactical. Right. So, I'm going to be speaking about how to frame the conversations in the right way, how to sell from a point of serving. Most importantly, I'm going to be talking about some more logistical things that a lot of tradespeople handle and deal with on a daily basis, like objections, and how often I see those not being, handled correctly, right? And that is really a make or break point for a lot of sales. And if you can, navigate those conversations correctly in a way, again, that comes from serving, not trying to manipulate or try to walk someone into a corner so that they buy your thing. That's never going to work. It's about, again, just helping them navigate through rational thinking right there with you so that they can take action and take the kind of decisions that they need to. And, not just keep on hearing, oh, I'll think about it, or, hey, I'll get back to you. Right. And being able to navigate those conversations is going to be important. And then also I'll be touching on, building out a big sales team and building out a sales team that works hard because of the leader, and how to actually take that step out of sales directly. Because that's one of the scariest steps for a lot of entrepreneurs to take, is knowing how to inspect what they expect and how to be going from, solopreneur sales to, multi-entrepreneur sales, and how to look at things at scale. So those are just a couple different topics I'll be touching on.
Why do you think entrepreneurs, and I see this a lot in the trade industry, why do they push sales off as not a priority, when I feel it is the number one priority? Is that if you're not ringing the cash register, nothing matters.
That's the
But
oxygen
they push
flow.
that off. Is that, like, they don't even hire the salespeople because they look at a salesperson as a cost? Any idea why, the psychology behind, why do they push that?
Well, I mean, I can tell from a lot of business owners that I've spoken with. Again, I mean, first of all, sales is the oxygen flow to the business. So anybody that comes from a perspective of, Oh, sales isn't as important right now. I don't really understand what could be more important. Right. Like I talk to business owners often. I'm like, oh, I need to have a website. I need to have a business cards. I need to have this. I need to have that. And it's like, no, you don't. You need sales.
Yeah.
And you know how you make sales? You go out there and you make them. You make
Yeah.
connections, you shake hands, you let people know what you're doing. You'd be surprised how much of the things that people think they need can be actually skipped if they just can sit down with the right person and have the right authentic conversations and let them see the value intrinsically, right? That right there is going to be more powerful than any kind of marketing or website or social media posts that you can make. Of course, those things all come into play and they're important when we scale, but sales is coming first. And that's why I'm always just like, just go out there and make the sales so you can have the oxygen to come into the business to actually make it a business. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in that kind of analysis paralysis mode the whole time. Regarding seeing hiring salespeople as a cost, or in general, like I said, kind of getting back to that fear that a lot of business owners have about taking a step out of the sales process themselves. It's on the flip side of that coin, which is that once you really get into sales as the business owner, it becomes a very personalized process. Right. And it's the most personal thing to you because it is literally the oxygen flow. So putting somebody else even partially responsible or in charge of that altogether is terrifying. I mean, and you have to understand, it's like almost like saying, hey, you want to go breathe for me? Right? Like I need you to go breathe for me real quick. Right. And putting that autonomy onto somebody else can be incredibly scary because also they're representing your company now. They're the front lines of your company. And it's also going to be detrimental to the company if they can't replicate what you do. And so a lot of business owners get really scared. But the thing that I see is actually being a problem there isn't the fear. It's a gap in awareness. And here's what I mean by that, because this is so important. You need to be able to inspect what you expect. And business owners, what they often do is they have a sales process that they do that isn't a process at all. It's all up here. It's not written down. There's no SOPs behind it. There is no way to actually be able to teach somebody else what you do in a form that you would actually be able to say, okay, I'm confident that they can take that over now. And so that's the problem first, is not actually intrinsically like looking in at to what they're doing in their sales process and making it an actual process, not just, hey, this is what I do in these situations. Oh, that happened. This is what I would do. It needs to be a process so it can be systemized and so it can be duplicated. And so in that case, once you've been able to actually have a process behind why and how you do your sales, well, now it becomes so much easier to hire somebody and have trust that they're going to be able to take it over because you have all the steps. You're like, hey, if you just follow this recipe, it's going to work for you, playa. Right. So it's not about trying to like say like, hey, I need you to watch exactly what I do and replicate that. That's never going to work as well as if you just have a process for it. And then what happens is very often business owners get to a point where they're like, I do need a salesperson. So they bite the bullet and they do what I call hiring out of hope. It's one of the worst things you can do because they're effectively saying, hey, sales, right? Like come in here, I'll let you do this. And then the house of cards does come falling apart because their level of awareness is nowhere near where yours is. And you had no way to actually teach them that and show them the gaps in their awareness. They might be coming in with a level of awareness that's 2 out of 10. You have 8 out of 10, right? Or 9 out of 10. And those 7 points that are missing in between there, if you have no way of communicating that to the salesperson you've just brought in or the manager that you've just brought in, doesn't matter how much experience they have, they're not going to be able to do what you did. And so now it is going to do the worst case scenario and your nightmare is going to become a reality. So what's so important is, first of all, not only being able to understand why sales is important, making sure that you put that at the forefront of everything you do, but then also as soon as you have something that works, making it a process that you can actually write down and that you can actually have some processes and checklists behind so that you can give that upon somebody else and you can inspect what you expect.
The thing about sales that I love is sales doesn't discriminate. Sales doesn't care about your background. Sales doesn't care about who you were yesterday or in a prior life. There's one way that I've learned to win at sales, and it's just don't quit. If you don't quit and you keep going and going, now you may suck at the communication level, and you may take it may take you 3 months to sell a candy bar, but if you don't quit and you keep going, eventually you are going to get better.
Oh yeah.
When I think of any big corporation, any big company, let's take the airlines, right? And the one thing that with the airlines, one thing when you get on an aircraft to fly, one thing is those pilots have been trained over and over and over again. Any good sales organization, salespeople have been trained. So much to what you were saying is somebody at some point said, I'm going to take this out of my head. I'm going to document it. and I'm going to go down this path. And
Yep.
and I think that repetition is the one thing that owners, they lead through abdication, meaning they hire a person and then they put their head in the sand and they go, just sell. And then the guy's like, I don't even know what your product is. I don't know what your terms are. Just do your thing.
Right.
You're a salesperson, just sell.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't know, and it shines a light on the company or the structure. But you would never see a major airline, American, Delta, United, say, hey, just get in the cockpit and give it a shot.
Yeah.
Just
Just
go
fly
give
the
it a
thing.
shot.
Yeah. Just fly the thing, man.
Ask me if you got any questions en route, but give it a shot. Like, you would never see that. Same thing with Apple. You wouldn't see an engineer going to work for Apple going, give it a shot. Let me see what you think. And if it doesn't work, we'll give you some tips.
Right. Right.
But you look at these companies, and that's kind of the challenge, right? That's the thing, is they look at it as not the necessity that maybe you and I see it as, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I see it as, this is not a good to know. This is a, hey, we have to do this. Otherwise we will not be in business, because if that cash register is not ringing consistently over and over and over again, you're going out of business. You just don't realize it until your bank account is zero.
Yeah. And if you, again, and it all comes back to what you teach, Steve, which is all about having processes and systems and SOPs in place that can help you manage these things and actually also see where the gaps are in your company. And if you don't have those in place, you're not going to see those gaps until it's too late. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Love it, man. All right. So you are coming to Mach 5. You
Sir.
are one of the keynote speakers. We're having the whole marketing team coming. Nick is going to be talking about how to even get ads and funnels up and running so people even know you exist.
Yep.
Adam is going to come. He's going to be talking about, once that phone rings, how do you make sure that we'll say set the hook? How do you make sure that you set the appointment correctly?
Yep.
And then the anchor, most of all, are going to be talking about how do you actually show up, one-time close if possible, right, with the client.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're providing the best value to the clients, and making sure that you are remunerated and paid what you're worth. Because I don't think that's a dirty word. I think everybody should be paid what they're worth, and you should charge accordingly.
100%.
Am I missing anything here on this?
No, I mean, like I said, if I have the time, I'll go into a little bit more details about what a one call or a one interaction close looks like, and how to correctly objection handle, because typically that's what's needed if you're going to do it all in one conversation. And then, like I said, also I was talking about how to then scale that into teams. But that's it.
Yeah, that's going to be great. So for those of you that don't know, that are under a rock and are not on any social media channels, because we've been blasting it like crazy, Mach 5. You see all the people that are going to be here: Lee Labrada, Eli Wild, Jason Cisneros. I mean, these are some big hitters. Nick, Adam, Tony. I mean, the list is going on. We have 14 speakers lined up in 2 days.
Let's go.
And this is going to be fire. We actually had to take out the bathroom breaks because we had not enough room. So we're all big boys and girls. If you got to go potty, you get up and go. I'm not going to give you a break.
Yep. We'll have speakers in the bathroom so you can keep hearing them.
Yes, someone will be. We will have speakers in there because they get the 5-minute spot. You got the lavs.
Yeah.
Last thing, Tony. If someone's thinking of coming to Mach 5,
Mm-hmm.
why would this or would this not make sense for them to invest in themselves to get better? What's your perspective?
Well, if they're looking to stay where they're at, and they're looking to have the business not move forward, and they're, happy with complacency, then yeah, don't come. That's not the right place for you. You're going to feel very alienated from that room. I can tell you that much, from both the speakers and the people listening. So this is for people who are, sick and tired of their current situation, understand that a change needs to be made, and that stepping into a level of uncomfort with confidence is going to be always needed in order to be able to take the next steps for your business. And that doesn't just mean sales, and that doesn't just mean marketing. Obviously, we have you and a couple of also great speakers coming out and talking about what happens next and what the challenges that come over next that we need to be able to overcome as the, and future pacing the problems and challenges so that you don't have the next challenges. Because if you get really good at sales, but you're really bad at fulfillment, that's a whole different issue, right? Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be an all around amazing event. I'm super excited and honored to be there. I'm going to show up at my best self. I got a suit ready to go.
Nice.
And so, yeah, if you're coming out and you want to make a change in your business, then Mach 5 is the place to be.
And just so you know, you are going after Eli Wild. For those of you who don't know, Eli Wild was Tony Robbins' #1 closer. He is someone who coaches me personally, and many people may not know who he is, but you know what he's done if you know anything about Tony Robbins. And this guy just brings fire. Every time I talk to him, I'm almost mesmerized by listening to him.
Yes.
And
he's
just a great guy. I mean, everyone that's coming, which makes me feel very good. Everyone is coming because they're a personal friend of mine, and they're coming because they feel that it's time to help people make a change. And that's really the only reason. I'm honored that so many people are coming up and saying, Steve, because you're doing this and because of what you believe in and who you are, we are honored to be a part of it. So Tony, I can't wait to have you out here again. Everyone who is coming, you'll be able to hang out with Tony, and we're all going to be here for the whole event. It's October 1st through the 4th. On the 2nd, we're going to do a charity night, casino night in honor of my son, Jet, who passed away. All donations will go to the Live Like Jet Scholarship Foundation to help young high school kids that are trying to get into trades but cannot afford it. So I look forward to seeing everyone here at Mach 5. The link will be in the notes here. But on behalf of Jason, on behalf of Tony and myself, thank you for watching another episode of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg, and we will catch you guys next week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.